So welcome everybody. Welcome to Cub's Vision to Success Business Showcase, where we chat with a business owner who's here to help gain valuable insights into how other businesses work. These are showcases to answer that burning question that we all have, that most entrepreneurs have, which is, well, how do other businesses cope? So today I'd like to introduce Giles Kozden of Giles Workshop. After graduating, Giles spent 2 years on the Yorkshire Arts Space Starter Studio program and 2 years as an artist in residence at the world famous Jewellery in Birmingham, where they filmed All That Glitters. That gave him enough experience to start out on his own. And Giles started the business around a year ago, which was the time he'd always planned to start it. It just happened it started at the pandemic, but as they say, there's no good time to start a business, so why not start then? Giles would like to help other people who've made custom-made jewellery and silverware, which challenges their modern concepts of possession, and to get away from our disposable culture that we now live in today. So today we're going to look at those aspects of his design. Giles is going to be working on a piece of art, and he believes very, very fervently that he's different because he likes to design the hidden meaning behind things and objects, which, you know, when you think about when you're gifting somebody, that's the kind of thing that really makes that present worthwhile. So over to you, Giles. What are you going to make for us today?
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Peter. Right, so we are going to make, which I'll do it on this camera, the counterpart to this cufflink, which is actually being made for Peter. So I've got a, oh, it's just telling me stuff. So it's a jigsaw piece cufflink that I've designed. It's got the end part of the cufflink, which is also a D. Peter's surname is Dickinson, so that's a little nod to him. So yeah, we're going to basically start making it. I've done a lot of the process already because otherwise it would just take too long to actually do. So we'll crack on. This here is a piercing saw, and then didn't plan that bit well, did I? These are saw blades. So what I'm going to do is set it up in my there we go. So these teeth are incredibly fine, and I can't actually see at the moment which way. There it is. So we're just going to put it into the saw like so. Tighten up all the nuts and bolts, and then we tighten the actual blade by twisting this bit here, and then we do the ping test. Can you hear that?
Yep.
So that basically tells you you've got enough tension on it, and that means it's going to cut really nice and easily. This is a cutting lube, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit on my saw blade there, and as you can see, I've done quite a lot of the work already on it. So we're just going to cut, move back slightly.
So while Giles is doing that, you see that you know, he's had to buy sort of all the equipment. You know, there's unfortunate bits of equipment that he uses for polishing, which is in another part of the building. So over a period of time, he's had to develop and buy quite a lot of kit and technology and develop processes that means he can do things efficiently.
So now that's all cut out, we're just going to clean it up. So I've got my first cut file here, which basically is just going to get rid of a lot of the teeth marks. The last thing you want is teeth mark. Also notice I'm not going like that. I'm doing one direction. I see a lot of people that start and they go like that, and they're just putting in wasted energy. So if you're ever doing that, don't do it. And second cut file here, which basically is just going to get rid of all of the first cut file marks, because we don't want to see any of them at all. This is a bench peg. This is the jeweler's and silversmith's most important tool. If you are going to ever go and get anything commissioned by a jeweler, silversmith, have a look at their bench peg. If it is marked up and scuffed like mine is, great. If it's completely pristine, run a mile. They don't make their own stuff. Simple as. Whenever you file stuff, basically what happens is that the metal then sort of gets thicker on the top. So all we're going to do now is just get rid of the burr by just going like so.
So, when, I mean, the ideas you came up with for the cufflinks have been really ingenious, because you've used a jigsaw piece and you're making other elements, for family members.
All of that will be revealed in a bit.
So where do you get your ideas from? Because when people are paying quite a lot of money for what you do, how do you make it different and distinctive?
Well, the first thing is you need to get to know the person. If you don't know the person, you're never going to understand what they want. Most of the time, they don't actually know what they want either. So you need to have that conversation with the person, get to understand who they are, what sort of really gets them going, what's important in their life, lots of things like that. The other thing is I've always got my sketchbook or notebook or technical journal always to hand, because without that, like it's like if you're having a business meeting and somebody says something important in a business meeting, you write it down. It's exactly the same for an artist, designer, maker. You'll get that inspiration. So yeah, that sits on my bedside table at night as well, along with my pencil. I might wake up in the middle of the night going, that's brilliant, right, write it down, even if it's just write it down, because otherwise you will forget. And so it's the combination of getting to know them and also what they want, what they don't want, and also the sort of build up of ideas that you've sort of got in your technical journal or sketchbook as an artist would use. So yeah, that's basically how. Sorry, that was really badly explained. I do apologise.
Oh no, I mean it's really interesting. I've worked with a lot of companies, as you know, and during some of the workshops, I ask, how many business owners or entrepreneurs wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and start writing things with notepads and by the side of the beds, and pretty much the majority of the room. I don't know if our viewers have ever felt that, but the number of times I've woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning with an idea and I've just got to write it down. So it's interesting that that you have to do the same.
Exactly. Well, I mean, because obviously we've been speaking quite a lot over the last year, because Peter's been really massively supportive and helpful towards me. And yeah, it is one of those things that it just, there are quite a lot of similarities between business, the way you'd handle yourself in a business sort of mind frame to a design mind frame.
Yeah.
So these are needle files, probably one of jeweler's sort of most useful tools, and they're just helpful for getting into all those places which you can't normally you wouldn't be able to get into with a big file. So again, this is my first cut file, making sure that it's efficient, basically, to get rid of all the stuff that is there. So yeah, that's the sort of, it's about making it efficient for yourself, because at the end of the day, as you well know, Peter, time is money.
Absolutely.
So
it's interesting how you again, thinking about how companies work, they have processes and so forth, and you laid out all the tools that that you needed before you started. So the operation, you'd identified all the first cut, second cut, etc., and so you're ready just to work on the process.
Exactly. I mean, without having things organised, without having everything in its right place, you're just going to be hunting around. Oh, where's this? Where's that? Where's that? And when I first started doing it, I was incredibly disorganised. And I think there might be a couple of people that I was on a staff studio programme with at Yorkshire Arts that are watching this, and they'll admit to how bad and messy my desk was compared to this now, where it's all organised, and everything. All my hammers have their place. All my pliers have their place, and I've got about 20 pliers of different sort of things, and it's the way you have to do it, sadly, because otherwise, it's just gonna.
In lean manufacturing, which a lot of manufacturers use, even on the industrial scales, there's a thing called right thing in the right place. And you have shadow boards where the tools are marked out, so you know that if the tool's in the wrong place because it doesn't fit the shape on the board. That's why they're called shadow boards. And if you've just got a shadow and put not the tool there, you know that somebody's used it and not put it back. So
exactly.
We're doing a video tour of make sure you've got your shadow boards built next time, eh?
I don't have a shadow board, I've got to be honest, but then it is only me here, so there is only one person that I can blame, and that's myself. So yeah, I'm just, as I said, cleaning up all the file marks, everything like that. I can see I've got a few more burrs now that have been created by using the needle files. So I'm just going to put them to one side for the moment. I'm going to get a bit of wood with wet and dry on it. This is probably the easiest way of cleaning up stuff, and also keeps everything flat. I think this is probably about 400 grit. Probably a bit less now because it's about a year old, but it still keeps on going. And I'm just getting rid of all of any marks that I can see. Every time I turn it over on the bench peg, it will actually automatically mark anyway. So once you've sort of got to the sort of finishing point, you've got to be really careful not to put it on anything that's got any, even wood might mark it. So, you do need to be mega careful. So
we've had a question come in. Do you only work in metal?
No, I actually really like working with wood and metal together. For instance, I just made a pencil for myself here. So I've got African blackwood, because I was born and brought up in Nigeria, layer of silver, field burr, just because it's really pretty, another layer of field burr, and then silver and African blackwood. And it's just a nice thing to have. And I think silver and wood work really well together. I did contemplate sort of doing, before I started doing all of this, a bit of pottery, because my mum's a trained potter. And yeah, the problem is I like the sort of the fact that you can use a bit of engineering with wood and metal compared to something very malleable like clay.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely I watch all these sort of making programs where they make things, and I can see very quickly that you'd end up, and my wife's just done a pottery course, you'd end up with a lot of sort of pottery, whereas at least with the jewellery, when you finish with it, it's not going to take over the house.
Exactly. And that's why I sort of also steer away from wood turning as well, because I don't need many bowls or pens or stuff like that. But I have also started just making dip pens as well, because I love handwriting, and I love I think it's really nice to receive a handwritten letter. So, yeah.
Just had somebody come in through the chat saying that they can only people can only see this if they clicked on the event. We are running the event on YouTube as well on the Cub marketing channel. So if you're not getting it, if you can't see it on LinkedIn, then we are looking at the settings. But you can also go on to YouTube and look. If you type in Cub marketing into YouTube, the video is playing on our channel at the moment.
So yeah, I'm just now rounding off all the sort of sharp edges, because when you look at a jigsaw piece, especially when it's been cut, it's got that rounded edge, and I really wanted to incorporate that to this design. So I'm just rounding off all the edges, making it all lovely and wonderful and pretty.
So when did you I mean, you've spent quite a bit of time, learning your trade. What sort of, when did you start first making things?
Well, as I said, I grew up in Nigeria. I was born and brought up there. And so at the bottom of where my dad worked, there were a bunch of craftspeople that set up part of the Tuareg tribe. So nomadic people, they had an earth house, basically, or fire in the middle. And I used to go in there, and I couldn't speak a word of their language at all. It didn't matter. I couldn't hear anything anyway at that age. So I was basically deaf until the age of 11. And so it's a lot of hand communications and stuff like that. They taught me how to make like catapults, little lights, basically paraffin lights out of old condensed milk tins and things like that. You know, just very hands-on people. And then when I moved to England, we were lucky enough, we had an amenity tit near us, where in those days you were allowed to go and forage, shall we say. So yeah, I used to build like amps, find an old hi-fi, take out everything other than the amplifier part, put that into a box, glass lid on top, light in it and stuff like that, which is all really cool nowadays, but nobody else was doing it. And so yeah, I've always sort of tinkered, and then I went away from it when I was a surveyor for some reason. Don't know why. But yeah, so now what I'm going to do, because obviously I want to set a stone in the center of it, is I'm just going to basically mark the center of this so I can drill a hole.
Okay. Yeah.
With the trusty old Sharpie. So it's roughly 26 mils. So I'm going to go 13 millimeters in. And the one thing that people will be really surprised about is the level of accuracy that jewelers and silversmiths go to, even making things by hand. You know, sometimes it's 0.2 of a mil or even 0.1 of a mil that we go to. So it's a very high level of tolerance that we like to work to. And that's normally, why people like Bobby White and people like that get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you can see, and it shows in the work. We just had a really nice comment from John on YouTube saying that he's seen the pencil up close and it's beautiful and feels great in the hand.
Oh, cheers.
John on YouTube. So thank you for that very much, John.
Thank you. So what I did there was basically using my center punch just to mark basically where I'm going to drill the hole, and that will stop the drill bit from moving around whilst you're drilling. So I've got my pendant motor here. I won't say the brand.
Yeah, we're not getting paid for those.
Exactly. But it is an industry standard one, shall we say. And I've got my tiny little drill bits here. So I think that's about a 1 mil drill bit.
Wow.
And again, going back to using cutting lube, again, like so, and then just straight.
So I think you're going to embed some piece of rock or into into this, aren't you? So, what's your interest in the stones? You know, diamonds, gems. What's your favourite?
Well, for me, my favourite is a pink sapphire.
Okay.
As I said, born and brought up in Nigeria, and one of the most precious stone in Nigeria is sapphire. So that's why I love pink sapphires and everything like that. And also, I was a diamond and gem grader in Hatton Garden for a year before I came up to Sheffield College to do a foundation in art and design, and then on to Sheffield Hallam University to do metalwork and jewellery.
Right.
So yeah, that's basically what I did.
Just want to say, all those folk who are on LinkedIn but can't see the screen, if you can go to, we've put in the comments a link to the YouTube channel, and it's visible on there. We need to. This is our sort of first full proper live stream with the business. We are going to be doing lots more, but we've identified that we'd not set a setting so that anybody could see it. So that's one for the future. We will be screening this, or it is being recorded, and we'll be pushing that on, putting that on social media, and putting it on the YouTube channels and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all a learning curve, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So now I'm using a ball burr to basically just get away a lot of the meat from the from where we're going to be setting the stone. I'm not going to set the stone live on here because setting the stone is really, really, I need to concentrate a lot. I won't be able to comment and talk and stuff like that whilst stone setting, because it's not my fault. It's not my strongest part of making stuff. But it's practicing. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing a bit of Blue Peter stuff later on, won't we? So just had a really nice comment from Gemma saying, I can also vouch for the fountain pens. They write lovely and smooth and are a perfect weight. So mixing metal,
that's very kind of you.
Getting weighted correctly is very important. So well done. So one for the business owners now. What inspired you to start your business?
I guess it was the fact that I do enjoy my own space, and I have a particular way of working, and I don't like to conform to sort of the 9 to 5, shall we say. So I mean, sometimes I might start work at 11 o'clock in the morning and finish work at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. And sometimes I might start work at 5 o'clock in the morning and do it that way. And so for me, it kind of just made more sense to sort of start up my own business. And also, there aren't that many jewellery and silversmithing jobs going. It's a jobbing jeweller's sort of role that you'd get at H. Samuels or a place like that, where it is all, you are monitored all the time. And I just don't function that well in that sort of situation. So, yeah.
I mean, they say that 40% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic or somewhere on some neurodiversity spectrum, and yeah. I think in a sense it's that wanting to be different. You can see that ability to spot opportunities and to think differently, and but of course comes with it. You've got your own free spirit. You want to do things your way, and hopefully that gives you then an advantage as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing against that sort of thing. But I mean, I made the conscious decision when I went to Yorkshire Arts start a studio program, in order to sort of develop more of the artistic side of the commission pieces.
Yeah.
Whereas one of my very good friends up in Sheffield, he's a fabulous jeweler, but he's a jobbing jeweler. I mean, he is his own jobbing jeweler,
Yes.
but he you know, he works on lots and lots and lots and lots of things at once. Whereas I'm lucky that I've generally sort of only got sort of 3 or 4 things that I'm working on at a time, and I try to limit the commission side of that to that. But yeah. So now I'm using a setting burr, which is basically forms the size, the sort of shape of a diamond. So on a diamond, I'll just do a quick little sketch for you. You've got your table, you've got your pavilion facets, you've got your girdle like that, and then you've got some more pavilion facets, and then you've got your culet. So that's the table there. You've got your pavilion facets, girdle. Oh, my spelling is atrocious. I'm really highly dyslexic as well. More pavilion facets.
No, that's another entrepreneur's.
So the setting burr basically follows that sort of shape like that. And so what we're going to be doing is with the bit of metal, if that's the sort of view through the metal, as it were, it's the ball burrs taking out all of that. And then the setting burr is doing that to it.
Right.
Sorry, my drawing's not the best, like so. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Yeah.
Just because that's probably quite difficult to see.
Yeah. No, we can see the shape of the end of the end of the drill.
And the way this works is I've got a little foot pedal that I'm pressing with my foot. Similar to somebody, say not an arc welder, TIG or MIG welder.
Yeah. It's incredible how much special equipment you need because you're working with things so small, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to say how much the equipment in my workshops.
No, we're best pass over that.
But yeah, I mean, it took me, 5 years basically to earn enough money to buy all of the equipment that I need. And there's still more equipment, obviously, that I want, but like a microscope for doing proper stone setting and a pneumatic engraver so I can start doing engraving properly, because hand engraving is just seriously too hard for me to even contemplate doing.
I guess we can say it because we're 2 guys, but to boys and toys, isn't it, really?
Exactly. And the other thing that I just quickly also want to mention is this bit of leather here. It basically just catches all of the waste silver that you can then have melted down, added onto your silver account at your silver suppliers. So, I think, was it one of my friends after the 3 years of his degree had over 1 kilo's worth of scrap silver that saved him about 400 quid, basically. So, when you're running a big successful business, obviously 400 quid's not a lot, but to somebody that's just starting out, 400 quid is massive.
Absolutely. Well, I think the accountants in even the big companies would argue that £400 was worth saving. I was having a meeting with a client earlier on. We were talking about, a forensic look at all the expenses in the business because they couldn't decide where money was going. So, and there literally money was being thrown away, literally, wasn't it?
Exactly. Right. I'm just going to now solder on the link side of it. Now I have pre-made the link, as I said, because it's just going to be an absolute nightmare to make that, basically. So I'm just going to hold it all together in my, as well as I can.
This is where it gets interesting, isn't it?
Well, hopefully. Now, because I've drilled the hole, I'm actually just going to off-center it slightly. And probably not the way that you should do it, but I quite like this idea of doing it this way for some reason. So, anyway, right, so here we've got a borax tray, dish and borax cone. Just a bit of water on it.
Oh, I see. So, because I watched you doing this when we were doing the tests, and so it's actually the bowl is borax, and you're actually grinding the actual bowl away, are you?
No. So the bowl is a ceramic bowl, and then the borax cone is what's getting ground away.
Ah, right. So it's the cone itself that's been
that's my old borax cone.
Right. Okay. Well, you got value for money out of that.
Exactly. And it's still got value to it, so it's fine. And what borax basically does, a lot of blacksmiths use it when they're doing Damascus steel, and it stops the metal inside of the layers from oxidizing with the heat.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Just a tiny little bit there, and also a tiny bit here. Actually, what I'm just going to very quickly do is just file a small flat spot.
Okay, yeah. So it'll get better connection with the.
Correct. Yeah.
So Rachel from LinkedIn was asking, talking of diamonds, have you made a diamond ring?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. So there's an opportunity for somebody there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I know quite a lot about diamonds from being a diamond grader. I did before I started out. I did a little taster session when I was 18, actually, for my 18th birthday down at Prudent and Smith in West Sussex, and the ring that I made, when I then became a diamond grader, I then could get sort of reasonably good quality diamonds at a lowest price. So I got a black diamond, and then I got a setter to actually set it. There are people that just set stones. That's all they do. There are people that just polish stuff. When I'm doing my big silversmithing items, I won't polish them. I will send that off to actual proper polisher. It just makes it easier.
Yes, it's interesting. Even yours is quite a specialized business, and yet even within that specialism, you're still collaborating with other entrepreneurs and business owners.
Exactly, and they're doing it day in, day out, so they are exceptionally good at it. Jewelry is different as a rule of thumb. If you like people like Bobby White or any sort of like high end people that sell rings for 50,000-60,000 pounds, you'll generally find they are such high skill in all areas that they do it all themselves.
Yeah.
But for jewelry, I'll polish it myself. But for silversmithing, nah. Sorry, not going to happen. So the little bit that I just cut off, this is silver solder. This is actually medium silver solder because all of these have been soldered with hard solder. So there's different types of solder, and they all have different melting points. And therefore, hard solder has a higher melting temperature than medium solder. And medium solder is a horrible, horrible thing to work with, but I don't have any easy solder with me. So
right.
we're sadly just gonna put that tiny bit there. We're gonna get my soldering block here. When I'm soldering bigger items, I use a really, really big, enormous torch.
Wow.
But that's just a little bit OTT and overkill for this. So I'm going to be using a kitchen blowtorch.
Okay.
Which is sort of, it's probably my cheapest bit of equipment because it's only 15 quid.
Emma from LinkedIn is saying one of my clients mentioned buying gems from the Russian market. So that sounds interesting.
Okay.
Never heard of them in the UK. So whether you buy any Russian gems?
I don't know. In fact, I think the last time I bought anything sort of precious like that was probably about 5 years ago. Because when you practice, I mean, the stones that are going in here are lab created CZ cubic zirconian. They're cheap compared to a diamond, so it just makes sense to do that.
Yeah, well, it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Exactly. The other thing I've just done is I've got some titanium blanks here, and that's just to raise the bit of metal off of the ground, so I can get the heat underneath it, so I can heat the entire thing without just heating directly on that point there, where the.
Why would you do that? What's important about that?
So it just what I don't want to do is, well, you can, but it's just because that's quite a large bit of metal and that's quite a thin bit of metal in comparison.
Yeah.
But they both need to be at the same temperature in order for the solder to flow. And if they're not at the same temperature, it won't flow. No. So this bit of metal here is going to take a lot longer to heat up than this bit of metal here.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying?
So I remember my dad worked in a metallurgy laboratory, and he used to say all those sorts of things when I was a kid. So it's interesting. So you've all had a metallurgy lesson there, folks.
I'm just trying to. There we go. It's getting there. I'm just going to get some horrible pliers here and just crimp down there.
Okay. So it's really holding it then, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is because this is steel, it's going to draw the heat away from the silver as well. So I'm going to have to keep heat on here as well.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully this goes all right.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. I'm sure the audience will.
And also, because I'm right-handed, I'm holding the bit that I want to actually control in my right hand, and the torch always in your left hand.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Except this has just popped out for some reason. Let's get another one. And obviously these are all just sacrificial.
Yeah.
You will have to rebuy them at different times.
How long does a tool like that last you? Because obviously steel can be bent back again, but over time and heating it up and so forth.
So
right.
This was my first ever pair. You can kind of see what sort of condition it's in. I have used it occasionally and not hit the wood and burnt my fingers. So that's just one thing to bear in mind, basically.
Yes, because it's metal, it'll get very hot, won't it?
Exactly.
For those watching, we're just connecting the soldering the link to the jigsaw piece, which forms part of the jewellery.
There we go.
There we go.
All soldered. So now I'm going to put that. I've got a little cook pot, like slow cooker down here, which has got a 5% acid water mix in it, and that basically gets rid of all the borax, the leftover borax, because the last thing you want to do is file that stuff, because that will kill your very expensive files. So don't ever do that.
Yes.
So I hope I'm explaining things well enough as we go along. Now that's going to take a bit of time to work and everything. What I'd like to do now, if that's all right with you, Peter.
Yeah.
Quickly do a quick little tidy up and explain what I would do next after that comes out. Is basically I've got some 400 grit wet and dry paper here.
Mm-hmm.
So these sheets are about £1.50 each for an A4 sheet. And they last a little bit of time, not a lot, but basically the higher the number, the finer the wet and dry paper is. So I'll start off at 400.
Yeah.
I'll go to 600. As you can see, it's 600 there. Then I will go to 800 there, and then up to 1,000 there. And then I have also got a 3,500 sort of sheet that just gives it a little bit of a kiss.
Fascinating. I mean, we've just sort of come at some of the really nice comments coming in here. Gemma's on LinkedIn was saying it's all making sense. So
to make what I've made for you, and I've got a little bit of a reveal coming up in a sec. It's probably taken about 12 hours, I'd say.
Incredible.
And also the other thing that I want to sort of go through is, so I've got there's a few more bits and bobs in there that have just been put in, but this is my scales, and it just helps me know how much silver I've actually used and everything like that. So the wastage, there's a bit more in there, but there you can see it's almost 100 grams of wastage.
Wow.
Which some of it's clean, so I can melt down and use myself. Others have got bits of solder. If you've got bits of solder, you can't remelt it down. It has to then go to be refined. So I use a company and they refine stuff for me, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got to recycle, reuse.
Exactly. So most silver that you buy nowadays is recycled.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Gosh.
Yeah. Now, this is sort of part of the reveal part of it. Now, obviously,
before you do a reveal, we've got a question from Debbie on LinkedIn.
Okay.
What's the trickiest piece of jewellery that you have to control? You know, when you try to make something, you know, what's the trickiest piece of jewellery? I mean, that's pretty high. Pardon? Soldering, yeah.
Especially if you're doing something. I mean, I've got something here, which 2 seconds. I was trying to do a kind of a cage thing, and that's how it turned out. It's just waste now, so that's going to go off and get refined. Because it's just badly thought out by me, if I'm brutally honest.
I think you know, as an entrepreneur, just sort of bring it back to, you know, the business side of things. You know, you do. I've probably wasted thousands on various experiments over the years. You know, there's no gain without risk, and you know, obviously you do your best to calculate it, but these things happen, really, don't they?
Completely, they happen, and the only thing you can do is take it on the chin, get back up, and do it again.
Absolutely.
And so that's basically that's what you've got to do. There will be mistakes. You will hurt yourself. I mean, I've knocked myself out and put myself in hospital making jewellery.
Okay.
Again, I just wasn't properly concentrating. I wasn't, you know, it was entirely my own stupid fault.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Probably better spare the gory details.
exactly. Well, luckily I had safety glasses on, and they took the brunt of it, so I wasn't being that stupid. Now, so as I said, Peter and I had a conversation about him. I also know Peter's daughter, Charlie, very well. We spent 2 years together on the Sheffield Hallam ski team, and I think it was 4 holidays in total that we went on, including 2 varsities where we both competed. So yeah, at least once a week over a 2-year period, we'd be out together with other friends as well. And one thing that struck me when I spoke to Peter, when I spoke to Charlie, was how sort of close they were as a family. But I mean, obviously, she said Monopoly's still banned.
Yeah, we do dysfunctional really, really well.
But I think most families do, and everything like that. But then it took me. Part of my design process was so how did this all work together? Well, sort of. These are cufflinks for Peter. So what then happened? So Peter, then you met your wife, you then had children. So what I wanted to do was sort of showcase that with entire family items of jewellery. So we've got another pendant here, which is again, jigsaw puzzle. You've got a nice CZ stone set in the middle. All of these still need polishing. They're not finished yet. Yeah, please do bear that in mind. There is no way that I'm going to polish until everything's absolutely, I'm happy with everything. And I might go back to these and just give them a quick scuff, brush up with a even finer wet and dry and stuff like that.
Wow.
So what I wanted to do, this might take me a bit of time to work out how it all goes together and everything. But
as Gemma from LinkedIn said, well, it is all trial and error as part of the game. So
exactly. And thank you, Gemma, for joining in. She is a very, very dear friend of mine indeed. So it's nice to see her there. And I believe that one goes there.
Brilliant.
And then other cufflink will go there and all fit together. So everything is in symbiosis, everything works together and is in harmony and makes you stronger as a whole, blah, blah, all of that sort of side of things. And so when I say about designing things with hidden meanings, Peter and his wife and Charlie and her brother all know the meaning behind it, but they don't need to shout it out to the rest of the people. If I've got my name engraved on it, on cufflinks and stuff like that, it's fine, not a problem having that done, but that's just not really, I want a little bit more than that in it. And also I don't have an engraving machine, so yeah, because that's another couple of £1,000, which I don't have the cash for yet. So yeah, there we go, Peter. They will be off to. This is a very quick question actually for you. Would you rather have because there are 4 assay offices that are allowed to hallmark stuff in the country. Sorry, in the United Kingdom, not the country. So there's London, there's Birmingham, there's Sheffield, and there is Edinburgh. I have an account at Sheffield, and I have an account in Birmingham. Which one would you rather have it hallmarked at? Because they all have their own individual mark. So Birmingham is the anchor because it has more canals than Venice. And also, so Sheffield is the Sheffield Rose. So it's completely up to you. But I'm assuming as you're north of Sheffield, it might be quite nice to have the sort of something similar to the Yorkshire Rose, as it were.
Well, if given that you and I wouldn't know you if it hadn't been for Charlie, and since you and Charlie, sort of were on the ski teams, and Charlie was at Sheffield University, I kind of think it really should be Sheffield, because again,
that's what I was thinking as well.
your, sort of the hidden thoughts, the hidden messages, that hidden story, because humans love stories, and that's how they communicate. And I love the idea that you've gone to that extra level of thinking to join our story together. So thank you very much.
Exactly. I mean, and this is my whole point about coming to an artisan. It might be slightly more expensive, but I mean, you can see the tools that I've been using. They are all just hand tools, rather than having it cast at a casting company, blah, blah, all of that sort of stuff. I could have easily sent this off to a laser cut or waterjet company and got them to waterjet cut it. And then that would have been all the cleaning up and everything, sort of, or cutting out rather, done like that. But that would be around roughly 70, 80 quid.
Right, okay.
So it, yeah. So yeah, if you just, I don't do mass produce, and that means, yes, it might be slightly more expensive, but you get those little hidden details, like the little D on the end here for when you're wearing your cufflinks on your shirt.
Yeah, thank you.
I did try and do a P for the other one. So it's Peter Dickinson.
That's a challenge.
I just, there is a way of doing it. I know there's a way of doing it. I just didn't have the spare material to do it.
Well, the point is that that it's all about that hidden story. That so when anybody comes to you, you're going to talk to them. You're going to find out what their stories are, and that's and you're going to wrap that up into so that the thing you make for them, the artifact you make for them, will contain all that lovely, that's that personalization that you'll never get from anywhere else, and that's why you're a successful silversmith artisan. And it's been brilliant talking to you today, and looking forward to, because it's my son's wedding in middle of August, so the cufflinks will take pride of place, and I'm sure my wife and Charlie will be wearing their necklaces with pride. So Gemma, just want to answer a few questions coming in from LinkedIn. So Gemma says, will we get to see the finished project, please? So,
yes, of course. So if you all sign up to my Instagram, which is at Giles's Workshop, or my Facebook, which is at Giles's Workshop, or my YouTube channel, which is at Giles's Workshop, all of them get shared over all of my social media like that. And also, if you need to get in touch with me about anything at all, or have any further questions, or indeed want to commission anything, it is shop@gilesworkshop.co.uk, because on the internet you can't have Giles's. So gilesworkshop.co.uk, but that's my email address, and yeah, that's so.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Please get in touch if you do want some jewelry making. It is worth it. It's fantastic quality, and Giles puts his heart and soul into it, which then means your story really gets captured correctly, and hopefully provide something that for your loved ones.
Yeah, can I just add, there's a couple of other things about that. So it's my best mate's 40th, and I was his best man at his wedding. And so I arranged to go and do, so we went and did shotgun clay pigeon shooting. So I wanted to, and he loves his whiskey and everything like that. So I'm in the process, and I know he won't be watching this because he has no idea of what social media is all about and everything like that. But so I've got this that I'm working on at the moment, which is a shotgun, shot shell, shot glass.
Brilliant. Okay, with that, I need to bring it to a close. Thank you very much for being with me today as part of the Vision to Success business showcase that we're running on an occasional basis. Thank you very much to our audience, and thank you to all the brilliant comments, suggestions, and questions that you've had. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, folks.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.